Assalamu alaikum students. Today our topic is from history portion. Chapter number 1. The topic is Foundation of Mughal Empire. Foundation means the base or beginning of Mughal Empire. And empire is not just a state but a kingdom. Kingdom consists of a group of states ruled over by a single monarch or ruler. So today we are going to discuss the beginning of the rule of Mughals and how they were able to expand their kingdom over India. Now, where did the Mughals originally come from? This will answer the first question of your summer task. Before starting this page, you need to know that Mughals ruled over India for more than 300 years. From 16th century to mid 18th century, or which is from 1526 to 1858. Now, the first passage of this page tells you the origin of the word Mughal. As it says, the word Mughal is derived from Persian word Mongol, but the Mongols of India were mostly ethnic Turks, so they were mainly Turco-Mongols. The second paragraph says that the Mughals came from Central Asia and that Temur, or which is sometimes known as Tamerlane, and Genghis Khan, known as Genghis Khan, were two great conquerors of Asia. All of the Mughal emperors were descendants or offsprings of Genghis Khan through Babur's mother. So they were related to Genghis Khan from their maternal side and descends from the eldest son of Genghis Khan. From paternal side, they were descendants of the Turkish ruler Temur. Now, the third passage, the last paragraph of this page says that during their rule, Mughals created and built many cities in Delhi, and apart from that, we can still see some of their creations in the cities like Lahore and Agra. The Great Mughals. Now here you can see a list of Mughal emperors. As we have discussed before, that emperor is a sovereign ruler of an empire, and an empire consists of many states. So in the lineage of Mughal rulers, there were 17 emperors in 13 generations, and even among those 17, following were the ones who expanded the Mughal empire during their rule. The map also shows expansion of their rule by the end of Akbar's reign, which is mentioned through horizontal lines, and by the end of Aurangzeb's rule is mentioned with vertical lines. The Battle of Panipat 1526. This will answer the fourth question from your summer task about Babur. You need to know that Battle of Panipat was actually a series of battles between different Mughal rulers and the then rulers of Delhi Sultanate. But the main center of the battle was Panipat. You can see the location of Panipat in the map, where 3 battles of Panipat took place, which became a milestone in the history of Mughals. Now, let's discuss the first paragraph. If you read it, it tells you the beginning of Babur's struggle to maintain himself in Uzbekistan against the Uzbek chief Shaybani Khan. As Babur was very young at that time, so he remained a refugee from 1494 to 1513. Now the second paragraph, it says that in 1504, he managed to take control of Kabul, Kandahar and Badakhshan. You can see it in the map, the arrows turning from Kabul towards Kandahar. But still, he wanted to expand his kingdom towards India too, which became the actual cause for the first battle of Panipat. Now, the first battle of Panipat took place and was fought between the Mughal ruler Babur and the then ruler of Delhi, Ibrahim Lodi. So, in April 21st, 1526, was his first attempt against the last ruler of Lodhi dynasty, Sultan Ibrahim Lodhi of Delhi. Sultan Ibrahim was defeated in this battle because he was not used to the military strategies and the movement of armed forces of Babur's cavalry. Cavalry here means the soldiers in any battle that fight on horseback. Let's discuss its details on the next page. Battle forces and tactics. Here we are going to discuss how in this battle the tactics or strategies of Babur's caused him to be victorious even though he was outnumbered by Lodhi's army. Let's read the first passage. Babur's Mughal forces consisted of between 13,000 and 15,000 men, mostly horse cavalry. His secret weapon was 20 to 24 pieces of field artillery, a relatively recent innovation in warfare. It means that his weapons and his army was using such things which was new to the battlefield, and he used field artillery. Field artillery are used to support armies in the field for short range and long range engagement with enemy, such as cannons. The topmost image here shows the weapons used by Babur's army, which can give you a rough idea of how advanced and tactful his army at that time was. Now let's read the second passage, how the Lodhi's army was during that battle. Arrayed against the Mughals were the Ibrahim Lodhi's 30,000 to 40,000 soldiers, plus 10,000 of camp followers. Lodhi's primary weapon of shock and awe was his troop of war elephants, numbering everywhere from 100 to 1,000 trained and battle-hardened pachyderms, according to different sources. Ibrahim Lodhi was no tactician. His army simply marched out in a disorganized block, relying on sheer numbers and the aforementioned elephants to overwhelm the enemy. Babur, however, employed two tactics unfamiliar to Lodhi, which turned the tide of the battle. Now here you can see in the image that the army of Lodhi mostly was consisted of elephants, which he used to shock the army, and the number of army used by Lodhi was obviously more than, it was double than the army of Babur's. If you read this passage carefully, you will understand through this paragraph that only large number of armies and elephants were not enough to win a battle against a warrior and a well-trained tactician like Babur. In those wars, a well-trained army and a well-organized, well-prepared army was required, and a strong and a capable leader such as Babur, who could plan an attack that can shock the enemies. So this proves how he was able to win this battle. The aftermaths of the battle. Aftermath are actually the result of any battle, which means what happened after the battle, how many casualties were there from both the sides or both the armies. Let's read this. According to Baburnama, Emperor's Babur autobiography, the Mughals killed 15,000 to 16,000 of the Delhi soldiers. It means he killed this much number of the Lodhi's army. He wrote it in his own book, his autobiography. Other local accounts put the total losses at closer to 40,000 or 50,000. Of Babur's own troops, some 4,000 were killed in the battle. The first battle of Panipat is a crucial turning point in the history of India. Although it would take time for Babur and his successors to consolidate control over the country, the defeat of the Delhi Sultanate was a major step towards the establishment of the Mughal Empire, which would rule India until it was defeated in turn by the British Raj in 1868. So it proves, and the results of the battle proves, that how it was an important battle in the history of Mughal rule, and which resulted in more battles and more expansion of the Mughal rules in the coming days. Now we are going to discuss the second battle of Panipat. The second battle of Panipat was fought in 1556 between the Hindu emperor of North India Hemu Chandra and forces of Akbar. Second and third battles of Panipat. Second battle took place in 1556 and the third battle of Panipat took place in 1761. This paragraph will answer the third question from your summer task. Let's read it. The Mughal Empire's expansion stalled. Stalled means it stopped after the death of its founder Babur in 1530 and began anew under Babur's grandson Akbar, fighting on a field that has proved so propitious for his grandfather. Propitious here means favorable. The young Akbar won a vital victory over the powerful Hindu ruler Hemu. So, after Babur, then again in the reign of Akbar or during the rule of Akbar, again Mughal rulers were able to expand their kingdom and expand their territories further to the north of India. You can see his expansion and the extent of his expansion in the map which was given in the previous pages, on which the lineage of the Mughal kings was given. So this was the result of the second battle of Panipat. Again, the Mughals were victorious during this battle. Now let's see the next paragraph. The third battle, January 14th to 1761, ended the Maratha attempt to succeed the Mughals as rulers of India and marked the virtual end of the Mughal Empire. The Maratha army under the Bhau Sahib, uncle of the Peshwa or chief minister, was trapped and destroyed by the Afghan chief Ahmad Shah Abdali. So it means that the third battle of Panipat was between the Durrani Empire of Afghanistan and the Maratha Empire, who thought that they could end the rule of Mughals here but were not successful. The details of this are discussed on the next page. So here are the details of the third battle of Panipat. Let's read it. Following the decline of Mughal Empire after the death of Emperor Aurangzeb, the Maratha Confederacy had expanded rapidly, threatening the Afghan Durrani Empire, ruled by Ahmad Shah Abdali. Ahmad declared a jihad and launched a campaign that captured large parts of Punjab. The Marathas responded by raising a large army under the commander of Sadashiv Rao Bahu and recaptured Delhi. Ahmad's campaign was aimed at starving the Maratha army of its supplies. At the same time, he led an army of 40,000 into the south to trap the Maratha army in Punjab. Ahmad Shah Abdali launched a surprise attack before the artillery had inflicted serious damage and Bahu's nephew was killed. The Maratha commander entered the battle to recover his nephew's body, but his troops thought him dead and their morale plummeted. The smaller Durrani army took advantage and routed them. Bahu escaped to die sometimes later, but the Maratha army had been destroyed and the unity of empire was broken. This began 40 years of anarchy in the northwestern India and cleared the way for later British supremacy. So, as you can see the details of the battle, the third battle of Panipat was fought between the Afghan forces of Ahmad Shah Durrani against the Maratha Empire. You can see in the map that the empire of Marathas was quite big. They had a very large territories under their control, and along with it you can also see the Durrani Empire. So, when Marathas expanded their territories rapidly, which threatened Ahmad Shah Abdali of Afghanistan, then he launched an attack and captured most of Punjab. Marathas, with the commander-in-chief of Marathas army, Sadashiv Rao, he was also the nephew of the ruler of Marathas, they recaptured Delhi. But Ahmad Shah Abdali, through his 40,000 army, launched a surprise attack and killed him. Maratha's commander then entered the battle to take his nephew's body, but his army was then defeated by Ahmad Shah Abdali. So the results are clear here that the third battle again was won by the Mughal rulers and they were victorious here, even though Marathas they are considered very powerful. They had expanded such territories in their rule, but even they were not able to fight back to the Mughal rulers. Here is the summary of the three battles of Panipat, their victors and the defeated ones. Hope it will answer the questions from your summer task. Good luck.